Well, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Margaret Jobling, CMO of NatWest Group. Marg, thank you for giving up your time today to go through these questions as part of our Q&A series. I would suggest we probably dive in with the questions because both of us like to talk. So I would imagine that we will end up kind of chatting for a while across these, but some are fairly quick and simple, some are a bit more involved, but it's been such an incredible year for you. I thought the timing was perfect to do this. So if I may, I will start with the first question. So you've enjoyed an exceptional career in marketing. We get asked this or a lot by the sort of the candidates coming up through the ranks. What would you say has been key to your success?
So I think probably two things. So I'm a scientist by background, and I think one of the real benefits of being a scientist in marketing is you really get the blend of art and science, which is, I think, what marketing's all about. So you can talk the language of the business, but understand creativity. And the other piece is I am really curious. So I'm curious about people and what motivates them. And that's as true for internally within my teams. You know, why is it people get out of bed as our customers? So never stop learning, really. And I think every week I find something new and different to get stuck into.
Oh, well, that's, yeah, I can relate to that. I have a similar sort of level of curiosity, and I think that works well in the role that I play as well. And the culture, so moving on to the next bit about the culture of where you are now. So NatWest is a group, incredible business for championing diversity, inclusion. You've got several women in the senior ranks at the business. You've got one of the only female chief execs in the FTSE 100. It's a truly fabulous culture to work both within and for. What advice would you give to other companies out there who are trying to emulate that culture with real diversity and inclusion and encouraging women to come through the ranks? Do you have any advice that you've learned along the way?
So I mean, we're the only FTSE 100 with a female CEO and a female CFO, which is incredible, really. Advice, I mean, I flipped in the last 5 years. If you asked me 5 years ago, I'd say I don't believe in targets. I actually totally now think the only way you get change is to drive targets into people's business and almost force it in, which is a bit more hand adjusted than you like, because I don't think it will happen by osmosis. And the other big thing I would say would be, how do you value inclusion as much as diversity? Because it's not about the numbers. It's about really harnessing the power of different opinions and different backgrounds and different experiences. So I think you need to put as much emphasis on inclusion. And for me, the way you really get inclusion is to listen and to learn. So spend as much time with people who are in the more ethnically diverse groups or disabled groups. I literally once a month spend time with somebody that's either ethnically diverse or has a disability in the business to go, help me understand your reality. Because I don't, and I don't even ever pretend to, but the more I can understand it, the more I can be helpful and do something about it. So yeah, I would say set targets, listen carefully to the people whose voice is not being heard. And someone said to me, a symbol of hierarchy in the business is the most senior person speaks the most. And actually ask people to come into the conversation, draw people in, because if it's only your voice being heard, you are not harnessing the power of what is actually a massive asset in your business to drive change.
You're right. It's about the engagement, isn't it, across the wider group as well. It's so wonderful that we're seeing positive progress. At least we're all moving in the right direction now.
But it's slow, Susie. It saddens me when you look at the stats. I mean, we're a society of 50-50, yet we're not when you start looking at the metrics. And I'm a techie, which I think I said 85% of tech people are men. 85%. It's like that's, so the bias that we're building in the system is massive. We have to do something about it.
But it goes all the way back to education.
Totally. It's right back to STEM. Totally.
Yeah. And we could probably talk for about an hour, I'm sure, just
a whole
on that.
different session.
It's a big passion of mine, but I'm pleased we're moving the right way. I agree. I think strict targets and really enforcing this to drive it forward with some pace is what is required now. But
expect what you inspect. I mean, I genuinely believe that. What do you reward? What have you put in place that really drives metric outcome? If you're not looking at the data and you're not sharing the data and not transparent about it, you will not get change.
Yeah, it's very, very true. A slightly changing tack on the questions now, relating specifically to the role that you play and sort of other C-suite, chief marketing and chief brand officers. I'm curious, and again, these answers sort of vary, but I'm curious what you think will be the priority for the chief marketing and chief brand officers over the next few years.
I would say managing through volatility. So if I've heard the word unprecedented in the last 12 months, to say this is unprecedented, I think we're in a world of change. And actually, I think we need to be ultimately flexible, and agile's overused, but to be able to manage dynamically, because the world is changing and we need to move at the speed of life. And I think that comes with it a lot of skills and a lot of requirements, a lot of process and infrastructure that we need to really re-examine. Sustainability has to be on everybody's agenda. Yes. I think that is the biggest challenge of our today. And if we don't take action today for a better tomorrow, to use our own advertising campaign, there is no tomorrow. So I think, how do we really drive behaviour around sustainability and climate change? That's not easy, because every bit of research I've ever done says if it's going to cost me more or it's going to be less good quality, it's still hard to get traction with customers. Yeah. Subtext also in a cost of living crisis. So I think that's one of our biggest challenges of our times. And the other piece is around capability. The world moves fast. We're more data enabled, more digital enabled. The future marketeer is not the same as the marketeer of today. And even if I look at the shift in the last 10 years, it's all about data and insight and MarTech and better measurement, if you like. So every pound we spend, we can see the outcome. That is still a challenge in our industry today. We can value some of what we do. We can't value all of what we do. But the capability and the skills of a future marketeer is going to continue to evolve as much in the next 5 years as it did in the last 10. And we've got to build that capability and have an eye to the future. That's not going to happen without some thought, and whether that's ways of working or whether that's actual technical skills, that's all changing. I mean, our world was turned upside down with COVID. It's never going back to normal, ever. So we need to do a reset, not hybrid. I hate hybrid. It's a cut and shunt of two things. I think there's a whole reset, which is we have to operate differently. We have to create different opportunities, and we need to develop our people very differently to what we've done historically. And I think the thing that I would have valued as a young, employee, work for a business for X number of years, that's not what people want anymore, Suzie. That world is gone. So, my own prejudice or lens of value needs to be totally reset, because what I would think is important is not what a 20-something thinks important when they're starting the workplace today. World's shifted, it's moved on, and it's going to move on as much again, and we need to be ready for it.
You're so right. And I ran an event recently speaking to a number of the chief ofs there and sort of saying to them how their roles evolved and what's kind of top of the priority list for this year. And all of them said their roles had evolved more than they could possibly have imagined sort of 5-10 years ago, and that sustainability and how they prepare their company, themselves and their team for sustainability, ESG, for the years ahead was probably one of the main things. We've seen a massive increase in our C-suite leaders go off to there's many different courses available, but it's a particularly good one run by University of Cambridge, and you're really sort of educating themselves so that they can best equip their companies for how they kind of move forward on that. So it's exciting. I mean, there's never a dull moment being a marketeer, but now more than ever, these CMO roles just seem to be so broad. When we get the briefs through, they really are broad and frankly rather exciting roles. Thank you for that. So about your teams. So you've led many award-winning teams over the years, from your earlier days in FMCG through Centrica, now in financial services with NatWest. This be hard to pick one, but what has been your most defining sort of leadership experience to date?
I don't think I've got a one. I mean, that's not the answer you want, Suzie, but
you can give me more than one.
Every job I've done, I've got a new string to the bow, whether that's, so I left R&D and moved to marketing. That's probably the biggest leadership shift I've ever had to make, because a world of creative, beautiful people that speak acronyms that the research scientist doesn't understand. So that took a while, and to see people's objective, see the same side of the coin from a very different side. So I think that was probably the biggest role shift I've ever done. And then when I think of, I left Unilever, massive role shift. And I think that's where actually leadership confidence grew, because you're in a company 16 years, you think that's all you've ever known, and people would cut you open and you'd bleed blue. Actually stepping out makes you realise you know a lot. And when I left Unilever, I mean, it was, you know, for good reason, but I was in a business where I had to do strategy, I had to do, you know, what toilet paper are we ordering? Like, you know, put in a whole commercial process. But I learned I knew a lot. Private equity was probably the biggest marketing challenge, because you need to work very hard to justify investment and upskill the team to be very commercial, because, you know, I joke about it, but, you know, it's all about cash and cash flow. So I learned probably my commercial stripes and PE. And then moving to services was when I really got into a brand as everything in a service organisation. So how do you galvanise 60,000 brand managers, because everybody in our business touches brand in some way, shape or form, yet they see it as this nebulous thing. So every time I've moved, I've got a very different set of experiences that just help me develop and grow. And I've said to people, don't think about just upward trajectory, broadening roles, you know, building, you know, different perspectives, understanding functional marketing, emotional marketing, end-to-end customer experience, but ultimately being able to articulate the value that you bring. So there isn't a one. I think it's been an evolution and a broadening of experience over, I'll say, many years. I'm not that old, but over many years of working. But each time I just feel like it, you know, you get a different leadership challenge. Marketing in every organization I've worked is different. Every organization, what sits in the function, where it sits in the hierarchy of the organization, you know, how the executive team think about it. There's totally different challenges in every business I've worked.
That's what makes it exciting though, isn't it? And to your point, it is the continuous learning. So every culture, every company has a different culture, a different way of doing things, a different way of viewing marketing. It's exciting going through that. In terms of advice, if you look at the younger marketeers coming through now, they will be looking to people as yourself for that advice. What kind of career advice have you had over the past that's really kind of stuck with you, that's been really beneficial to you, that you would share with others?
So a couple of bits of wisdom that stuck with me for years. One is everybody steps in their trousers one leg at a time. And the reason I think that's important, particularly in marketing, is there is no right or wrong answer. You know, you need to understand your customer and work out what's right for them. And actually, don't rely on hierarchy as being the best decision maker, because they're not. So I would say from a young in my career, challenge, ask the stupid question, you know, but don't think that the person who's been around for the longest is necessarily the wisest. They've been around the block a bit longer and they've got a bit more experience, but particularly when you are talking to a particular target audience, you know your audience way better than they would know their audience. So everyone steps in their trousers one leg at a time. And the other one is take ownership of your career. If you think someone's going to come and gift you with a job or promotion, I don't think people take enough personal accountability for their own development, and they say, oh, I haven't got time. Time is a symptom, it's not the cause. Yeah. If it's important, you create time. So I would say own your future. push for what you want. Don't be afraid to ask, because the worst that could happen is somebody says no. Well, there you go. You put your hand up and says that you're interested. And if they say no, they have to back it up with good reason why. And that is feedback. And feedback is a gift. So then you can work on what you want to do with it. So yeah, that would be my 2 bits of advice.
No, and good advice. I think especially taking control of one's career. You're right. Many people are, I guess, human nature. You could be fairly complacent about it. If you work in a big corporate, you sort of hope that 2 or 3 years down you'll get promotions, etc. So I think that's valuable advice.
And big corporates, I call it's like Heathrow holding pattern. There's lots of people at that level just waiting for the landing spot. What makes you different? So create options, create choices, but hold and control your future.
And what next for you? I mean, Marketeer of the Year, obviously doing an incredible role with NatWest Group. Do you have any thoughts? What would be next for you longer term in your career?
So I mean, and not to just sound cheesy, I love my job too. Like if someone said to me 5 years ago, financial services, I would have gone. So for me right now, it's about adding value. I feel like I've had all of these years of experience and I want to do something and give something back. So inside the business, that's building financial capability with Marcus Rashford, figuring out how we really drive a difference in climate. I took on ISBA this year because I want to do something on industry. How do we really get, the industry gets a bad press, not rightly so. So I think we need to do more around building reputation of industry, do a lot of mentoring for young people, interesting, predominantly women. But I just feel like I'm at that life stage where I don't particularly want another job. I just want to do something that adds a bit of value back, because I feel incredibly lucky and quite humble that, I just got to where I got to. It was never planned. I never wanted to be a CMO. I think I wanted to be a police officer when I was like 13. But, now you're in that place. I think I could use my voice and position to do something that really does drive societal value. And that was one of the reasons I came to NatWest. Purpose is meaningful. You can, and I think people more than ever now need meaning to jump out of bed and go to work. How do we put purpose, not over profit, because profit is a critical component of doing good, making more money. It all, is a virtuous circle. But I'm just at that place where I go, I want to do more to give back to everything that's given to me in the last 30 years.
Good for you. That's to be applauded. Now, we've seen it as well from our candidates when we sort of questioned them. Obviously, there's always the financial remuneration part plays a role when they make a career move, but the seeking of purpose and joy, that's been the thing. I think, since COVID, people have really genuinely reevaluated their lives and their careers, and purpose and joy. In fact, we've written articles on it because it kept coming back to that.
Life's too short. That's what I always say. Life's too short, and you go, don't want to get to whatever with my headstone saying launched 53 links variants, 2005 current accounts and some fish fingers and peas. I mean, that's not why we work. So I generally want to go back and go, do you know what? I created a legacy. More children understand money today than they did yesterday. We create a behaviour change around climate and sustainability, and I helped a few people along the way.
Well, wouldn't that be a fantastic legacy?
That would be a great legacy. I'll be very happy with that. And it's never been, don't tell my boss, money doesn't motivate me. That's not why I leap out of bed in the morning. It's purpose and joy. Spend more time at work than I do at home. I've got to enjoy it.
Well, you clearly do. You're glowing off the back of it. So you clearly genuinely love what you do, and you do a fantastic job. So, Mark, thank you for answering those questions.